there? It's Wednesday. That means it's comic book day. Let's see what I got. First up is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 3 from Boom Comics. First couple issues were very boring, but they're starting to ramp up a bit more. I was worried that the entire series was just going to be focused on the Green Ranger / White Ranger / Tommy, but they may be going into a different realm later on down the line past this first storyline. So far everything's been somewhat slow, but they are starting to ramp it up a bit. I was really excited in this that I thought was going to be a part of the actual story, but it turned out it was a whole dream sequence. I won't go into it to spoil anything out there, but still it was a bit of a disappointment. I'll give it another couple issues. Like I said, the next storyline has some potential, but if they don't ramp it up somewhat and it's the same format, I may end up dropping it. Harley Quinn and her gang of Harleys, issue number 2 of 6. I love Harley Quinn, I love her character development, and I love the idea that she came out of the Joker's shadow, and she's sort of like an anti-hero now. This comic book series is focusing more on her gang of Harleys, which there seems to be every ethnicity and every minority that's represented. But the problem that I'm having with this comic series is they're really sexualizing her a lot, which they've been doing from the very beginning, and I've never had a problem with it, and I don't even really have a problem with it now, but it feels like they're really relying more on the bondage aspect and the girl-on-girl sexuality to try to entice people to read it, rather than actually try to make a good story. And they are counterbalancing it out somewhat by showing that Harley Quinn is gay, or at least they're really hinting towards the idea that he's gay. They haven't outright said that he's gay, but it is pretty obvious that he is. It is still an interesting read, and I am very interested to see where Harley's gonna go after the rebirth takes place. So I'm definitely gonna be finishing up the series regardless. Darth Vader number 20 from Marvel Comics. This is a pretty interesting issue because we get a conversation between the Emperor and Darth Vader as to why the Emperor chose Darth Vader as his apprentice and why he was saved back on Mustafar. Everyone remembers that. That was episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, when he was burned really horribly on the volcano planet Mustafar when he was battling Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is somewhat of a filler story, but still I like the conversation between the two of them. It wasn't until the end of the issue that continued on the real story about Darth Vader trying to get back one of his allies, Dr. Aphra, either dead or alive. Action Comics number 52. This is continuing on the storyline of the final days of Superman. This is also the last issue of the current numbering of Action Comics. The rebirth is going to take place, and then we're going to be reverting back to the old numbering system in the old DC universe. This is a very important issue because, if you're not aware of this already, the old Superman from the old universe has been living in the new 52 universe with his son Jonathan and his wife Lois, who is also from the old universe. They also have a Streaky and Crypto, Super Cat and Super Dog, but not really, we won't go into that. But anyway, Superman from the new 52 universe is dying. There's a doppelganger that may or may not have some linkage as to why he's dying. I don't know where all this stuff is going to end up going in the next issue. There's really not much more to tell though. The story has to conclude in the next couple weeks because the rebirth is right after this. Next up, I got Detective Comics number 52. This is also the last issue before they renumber everything back to the way everything was before the new 52 started. This is just a one-shot issue, and I think it was really well done. It was really just a filler issue, but still I think the backstory being explained here with Alfred and Bruce Wayne as a child right after his parents were killed, it was something that I really liked reading. It wasn't a great spectacular story that had all these tie-ins from all these other comic books. It was really just a Batman story, and I felt like the writers really nailed it. Finally, I got all new, all different Avengers number 9. We have the introduction to the new Wasp. There is some relation to this Wasp to the former Ant-Man Hank Pym, but I don't want to give away her identity just because I don't want to give out spoilers. I'm sure there's going to be much more behind her character because they really introduced her way too easily. Usually whenever someone's introduced this easily, there's going to be something else that's going to be revealed later on down the line. That's it. That's my comic load for this week. What did you guys get? Leave comments down below when you get a chance. Anyways, thank you guys for joining me in this comic book review. Be sure to check out my Patreon site, my social media sites, my websites, and everything else out there. Peace, love, namaste, and I'll see you guys later. Peace. Hey, I'm glad you're still watching. When you get a chance, check out my buddy Comic DJ. He's another comic book reviewer on YouTube that I just recently found out about. This guy is really cool. I mean, he does comic book reviews on stuff that I never really thought much about, but after watching his videos, I end up getting really interested in those comic books. We're going to be doing a couple collab videos here and there down the line, but I definitely want to promote his channel as much as possible because he definitely deserves the press. But check it out when you get a chance, okay? Check it out.